don't marry by faith. Yeah, you heard what I said. Don't marry by faith. You see, you can start a ministry by faith, but not a home. All right? When you want to preach the message of Jesus Christ, basically all that you need is the message of the gospel. Just go around, tell people about Jesus, what he has done, work miracles, and guess what? Your following is going to grow and increase. I mean, we have biblical precedents for this. Jesus said to his disciples, when I sent you without pause or script lack you anything? And they said nothing. But when it comes to raising a family, and that's not to say that you cannot use your faith or you shouldn't use your faith as someone who wants to marry, but there is a practical approach to marriage. All right, there are some things that must be on ground, ready before you think about, marriage. When it comes to a home, it takes money to pay house rent. It takes money to raise children, to send them to a good school. It takes money to do all those things. And even if you want to be so blinded by love, romance, and all of that, guess what? The parents and the loved ones of the lady or of the guy will not allow you. They're going to fight you. Because generally speaking, there should be some form of stability before you decide to carry someone's burdens or share anyone's burdens. In fact, I was talking to someone I call my YouTube director, Shola Olale, and then he reminded me he told me about a very popular meme, a popular joke when it comes to this topic that says, even in the Bible, the book of Job comes before the book of romance, meaning you should get a job before you want romance. Hey, and that's so funny, but so profound at the same time, And of course, I'm sure the book of Job doesn't actually mean job, and romance are different, even the pronunciation, but it does make sense because you see, marriage is sort of a business decision, meaning it's capital intensive. Trust me, as someone raising 2 kids, capital intensive. Good schools are expensive, and then if God blesses you with the kind of children that he gave me, especially the first one, you see Nadia, I forget the name, the Twitch name, she's kind of raz. So Nadia can eat anything. But Edima, right from when she was a child, he was always picky. In fact, at some point as a child, the only meal she liked was this, I think it's called Purity. That's the name of it's like a paste. All right. And it was 900 naira per bottle. And she gets to eat it just twice. A small bottle, and that was the only thing she was eating. And you have to choose between her not eating at all or not taking Purity. And so raising children is so expensive. So, you don't raise children, you don't marry by faith. All right, you got to have something on ground. On the other hand, you don't marry for money. Marriage is not a career plan. It's not a business plan. All right. And you don't marry for social status also. All right. Many people have unfriendly friends that they cannot even be themselves around, friends that they cannot even be vulnerable around. So they have to pretend to be richer than they are, to break their backs to create an impression. And so their relationship choices is also part of their status symbol. Get out of that kind of friendship, all right, immediately. Don't marry for your friends. And of course, if you have good friends, you should care what your friends say. But if you have friends who only are concerned about the appearance of wealth, there's an English word for that. It's a bamicidal approach to life. The illusion of plenty. There are some people that's a perspective to life. Fake it, even if you haven't made it, kind of perspective, and that's going to put you in trouble. Because guess what? It doesn't matter how popular this culture is. You don't marry, all right, for money, and this works both ways, both for guys and girls. Make no mistake, there are some guys who are after some ladies just because of their money. All right, and that's very embarrassing. That's very terrible. And ladies shouldn't be after some guys just because of their money. And so, all I'm saying is this. The proper approach to a topic like this will be the balance of both viewpoints. On one hand, you don't marry by faith, but on the other hand, you don't marry because of money. All right, so, and the Bible is keen on both ideas. The Bible says that a man who does not work should also not eat. The Bible also says that anyone who cannot cater for his household is worse than an infidel, has denied the faith. So this is such a serious subject. You should be ready and able to be responsible before you bring someone on the. Forget the movies, all right. Love is a serious game. And whilst you're still imagining the Indian tunes in your head, playing to the music of your romance, by the time you get together and before you know it, you have a child and you have to pay bills. And I mean heavy bills, then you know that it's not a game. The movie's lied. Okay? It's serious business. It's a business decision. All right? So you have to be ready to put in the work. It's beyond the butterflies. The picture of love is not just butterflies. It's hammer, like hard labor, work. Marriage is the hardest thing I've ever done. And that's a huge statement for someone who has planted as many churches as I have. I don't consider planting churches easier than being married. And that's upon the fact that I have a great wife. So if you want to joke about this, you're going to see yourself. And then, of course, the Bible also has something to say about contentment. In Luke chapter 12, verse 15, a man's life does not consist in the abundance of the things that he possesses. Take heed, beware of covetousness. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of the things that he possesses. And so your love should not also be just about the abundance of the things that a man possesses. Let me tell you something. I've been old enough to see that the present is never a predictable prophecy of the future. Some of you know what I'm saying. The guys who were the reigning guys, the girls who were the reigning girls in secondary school, and the guys who are actually reigning now, and the girls that are actually reigning now, they're totally different. In most cases, many of the people, that were rocking the entire boarding house and were the subject of every gossip, every conversation, they don't really look like what they were promising to look like at the time. Do you understand? And so we have to be very careful in our assessment of the present. This is so profound. How many of you were head over heels in love with someone some years ago, and now you want to slap yourself like, was I crazy? And now remember that the next time you think you have it absolutely figured out, when you want to make your decisions, maybe you just need to still slow down and examine things. Because you know what? The Bible says that money can develop wings and fly away. I've seen people who had at least the appearance of wealth have nothing a few years later. And I've seen people who no one really, considered to be anything extraordinary, and their life changes. Listen, God can change lives, so be very, very careful in this life. What you say about people, how you treat people and all of that, it's very important. I had a dinner 2 days ago, thereabout, and some people were talking, and I received a very nice compliment that got me thinking. Someone who is not even a member of our church says, every week I look forward to seeing what you wore on Sunday. And that was quite an interesting statement. So I'm just like, now all of a sudden I'm sort of a fashion statement. That's cool, and it might be hard for you to imagine, but just a few years ago, nobody would have thought. Do you understand? Or only few people would have thought. You get. So you have to understand that if you judge based on the present and based on people's possessions, and this works, like I've said many times in this conversation, for both male and female, you just might make a mistake.